Hi there. So I can say with absolute certainty that for me personally, the low-fat, raw vegan diet, otherwise known as 80-10-10, where you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and some nuts and seeds, it works very well for me. I have experienced a lot of benefits through this diet, and I feel great on it. It's not just what I feel personally, but also the blood test that I have had done, even of recent, has turned out quite positive in terms of meeting all my nutrient requirements. So I believe in it. It works for me. And, you know, it's important to be able to have something that you can believe in and that really does well for you. But I can't ignore the fact that there are people out there where 80-10-10 has not worked for them very well. And in fact, it's been extremely difficult for them to incorporate it into their lives. And I don't understand why. I'll be the first to admit I don't fully understand why it is not working for you or anybody. When you think we're physiologically, as humans, we're pretty much physiologically designed the same way, you think this would work for everybody. But I also know that life is far more complex. Humans are far more complex than just their physiology. So there's a lot more going on there that would have to be investigated to understand what's going wrong here. And so, you know, I probably someone like Doug Graham, who came up with the 80-10-10 diet through years of his own personal investigation, is authorized to say that this diet is suitable for everybody. I mean, he's the authority in that. He has the science behind it to explain why this is suitable for everybody. But for me personally, I don't have that authority. I can't make that statement. If I make that statement, I'm just mimicking what Doug Graham would be saying. But I can say that for me personally, and I can say this with full authority, that for me personally, this diet has been extremely beneficial. I will admit it has been challenging, and it still is challenging to make those transitions, but the health benefits have been well worth the challenges. And so I'm committed to 80-10-10. But I also, I totally respect anybody out there who they can't do it for whatever reason. I'm not on a campaign to convert people, but so why am I doing these videos? Because on the other hand, I do believe that I have something really worthwhile to share here that could be helpful for some people. And so that's really what these videos are about. And you know, you choose to turn this video on, you can choose to turn it off. In my normal daily life, when I socialize, I'm not out there trying to convert people to 80-10-10. I don't initiate a conversation in that direction. It does come up at times, but again, I'm not the one who initiates the conversation usually. So, and most of the people that I socialize with are not even vegans, let alone following an 80-10-10 diet. Anyhow, so where am I going with all this, you know, crazy diet that I'm following? I do have a direction where I'm going, and I've mapped it out. I have specific goals that I want to achieve through this diet. I don't know if I'll get to those goals, but I do have a sense of where I want to go with the 80-10-10 diet and what I expect to get from it. And I've worked it out into what I call the 4 stages to optimal health. And I've written it down here. So if I'm looking over there, I'm just because I'm reading it off. So the first stage I would call conversion and detoxification. And that's of course, the stage from you're converting from the standard American diet to the new diet, the 80-11 diet, or, low-fat raw vegan. And then you're going through the process of shifting from eating from a standard American diet to an 80-10-10 diet. And then there's another kind of shift that takes place. It's the shift from eating unconsciously to being aware of what you're eating. And that was an interesting experience that I realized early on, was that suddenly I became very aware of what I was putting inside of me. And that was almost kind of like an awakening. The third thing is weight loss and detoxification. And so here's where, in this first stage, you're going to probably lose a significant amount of weight. A lot of it will be water retention, but there will be fat as well. And in the process of doing that, you're also going to probably experience detoxification. And that's where at times you'll even feel ill, you'll have headaches, you'll feel tired, you'll have various symptoms, but they shouldn't last. They shouldn't be ongoing. They could last up to a month, though. My detox did last about a month. But again, it wasn't a month of having headaches or feeling tired or faint. It was just going through funny phases throughout that month, and it was all a part of the detoxification process. So for me, that's the first stage. It would be conversion and detoxification. The second stage is integration. And that involves, first of all, emotional and psychological integration. And this is probably the longest stage. I would say I'm probably still on stage 2, where the emotional, that's pretty stable. The psychological part of it, though, there's still habituations there that cling to old eating habits. And it has more to do with cooked food. It's not like I crave to go back to eating junk food, or I crave to go back to eating meat or dairy or eggs or whatever. It has more to do with wanting to eat cooked food with spices, because I love spicy cooked food. And so I'm still struggling with that. And how I dealt with that is that, for a while I would eat fruit all day long and then have a cooked meal in the evening. And then, now I've stretched it out to, I have about one cooked meal a week, and I'm working on stretching it out further. I would like to get to the point where I feel completely comfortable and satiated just from eating purely fruits, vegetables, and nuts and seeds. I haven't reached that point yet. There's still something I feel like I'm missing, and I hope I do get to that place. I believe I will, but again, I'm not there yet. So that's the emotional, psychological adjustment. Then there's socialization, and that's where you're integrating this new diet, this new lifestyle, into your social context. And so you can be radical about it and bash people over the head with your newfound diet and offend a lot of people, lose a lot of friends, upset your family, maybe get fired from your job. Or you can, just people will find out anyways that you've changed the way you're eating, because at some point you're going to eat with somebody, right? But do it in a more diplomatic manner. And it is possible. I think in terms of socialization, I have reached a place now where I'm comfortable with following an 80-10-10 diet and being amongst people that are not. At first, I have to admit, though, I was kind of out of whack. I felt like an alien. I remember going to a party with my ex, and at the party there was a platter, and it had, a baby pig's head there, all decorated, and everybody's laughing at me. And I'm just like, this is horrible, And I just felt like an alien, like I couldn't fit in with anybody. Well, now I think I've learned to be more comfortable in social environments where, I don't have to follow the crowd. I don't, have to eat what they eat, but yet I don't have to make it an issue either. So that takes a little practice. And then overall normalization, where you feel like that you feel normal with the way you're eating, and it doesn't seem to be out of context in your overall life, whether at work or with your family or with your friends. And so that's stage 2, basically, is integration. Stage 3, this is an area that I'm really interested in entering into, and that is, it probably has happened already on some level, but this is what I would call deep tissue repair. And this is where, you've lost the main excess body fat you've lost. You've done your detoxification and, all the other aspects that go with this diet you've gone through. Now, first of all, when you think you're pretty fit, you're not quite there yet, because suddenly you start to notice yourself losing fat that you didn't even know that you actually had. There's layers of fat beneath your skin and in between your muscle mass, and that fat will start to shrink down, and so you'll actually lose more weight, but it'll be actual body fat that you're starting to lose that's more closer to your muscles and your skin. And you'll even think that you're losing muscle mass at this point, because what you had mistaken as muscle was actually, a lot of it was fat. Now, after that, though, you will start to actually develop muscle mass, like real. It may not be large muscles, but you'll become stronger. And then there's also that process of the soft tissue, like your kidneys, your liver, and your nervous system, and also your lymphatic system. These are areas that I'm a little bit struggling here, because I'm not a mechanic of the human anatomy. When you get into those areas, I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to read up on. But what I'm trying to express here is deep tissue healing, repair, regeneration. Tissue, like for myself, being over half a century old and having neglected and abused my body over the years, I know there's a lot of damage deep inside of me, and that needs to be repaired. That needs to be fixed. And I do believe that it's possible that you can go into those deeper areas, and when those get cleaned up and fixed, regenerated, then your health is at a totally different level altogether. And that's where I would say, you're entering into stage 4, which is optimal health and fitness. And this is where this is the stage that I would like to reach. And that's where you are physically strong, you're physically flexible, you have clarity, alertness, and your life has overall balance. You're emotionally balanced, your thoughts are well controlled, you're spiritually balanced, and you're just physically on top of your game. And your life is in good shape. Basically, you've got your shit together. And that is where, that's the ultimate aim of doing this 80-10-10 diet for me. Now, a lot of these stages, like I have this chronologically ordered out, but that doesn't necessarily mean there is an overlap here, that it has to follow that order. It's just that, for simplicity's sake, I've mapped it out in this manner, and I've kind of created this hierarchy of where I want to go. So will I get there with using 80-10-10? There's more involved in my life than just the diet itself, but this channel is more or less about you know, the vegan lifestyle, right? So grassroots vegan. So that's what I'm focusing on here. I'll keep you posted on the development. Again, I feel like I'm in stage 2. I'm getting close to stage 3. So, you know, and I'll keep you posted on where this is all going. I would like to also, you know, I've mapped this out in general terms. I'd like to get more detailed in each category, and, you know, maybe write something out here so that perhaps it could be helpful for others down the road. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and peace be with you.